Morning guys, welcome back to the Knitting Expat podcast channel. I'm here today with another spinning video, and I talked about this on my most recent podcast episode, which at the time of recording this was episode 139. I'm not sure exactly when this video is going to go up, but today is Wednesday the 19th of June, and I showed this pack of yarn that I had. And then I also had purchased this gradient pack from Hilltop Cloud. The fibre is from Fibre Optic Yarns, and I picked this up at my very first Rhinebeck. And I realised I picked up this fibre as well, which is almost exactly the same colours. So, I mean, quite literally, if I had to pick my favourite colours, this quite clearly encapsulates my favourite colour wheelhouse type of thing right here. So, I'm going to open these up. Show you them up close. This is a 8-ounce set of 6 mini skeins, and it's 140 yards each, 8 ounces total, and it's an 80-10-10 superwash merino cashmere nylon blend. These colours are just, they are everything. I absolutely love these colours. So beautiful. And I've been holding on to this, not knowing what I wanted to make with it, how I wanted to use it, and just wasn't sure. And the colour set is called English Garden. Okay, it's called English Garden, and 1017 Jeff. Not sure what that is. I'm wondering if that's the person who dyed it or packaged it. So this is the Holly Festival gradient pack from Hilltop Cloud. Open this one up and show you the colours. I haven't opened this up before, so this is a blend of Shetland, mulberry silk and merino. This is 140 grams, so like 5 ounces, 5 and a bit ounces. These colours. Again, absolutely stunning. Love these colours. Totally in my favourite colours range. And let's see if there's a way I can hold these all together. Doesn't really work out too well. I'm going to try and take a photo of them all together to be able to show you a bit more clearly what I'm on about. Okay, so we've seen the fibre now, and I think my plan is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these into Rolags, and there's 140 grams here, so I should be able to split this into 4 sets on the blending board, which you can see behind me. And so I'm going to turn these into Rolags as a gradient, and then I'm going to spin them. Not quite sure how I'm going to spin them yet, whether I'm just going to spin them end to end and chain ply them, which is one way, or if I want to barber pole them, so do it as like a 2-ply, where I intentionally barber pole it to then contrast with these more solid colours, which I think might be the way I go. We will see. Maybe I'll do a little sample test and see how that will work up. Otherwise, I'm just going to make the Rolags to begin with and then decide how I'm going to spin it afterwards. And the idea is that in the end I'll use them together with these mini skeins to make a larger project, probably a shawl of some type. I really like the idea of mixing the textures of hand spun with commercially spun yarn, and I think this would be a really fun project. Alright, so all the Rolags are made up, and I've got 2 stacks here where the Rolags in each pairing they weigh the same, and so there's 58 grams in each stack. So I'm thinking of doing, this will be 1 bobbin, that'll be 1 bobbin. Although I don't think it completely matters, because my initial thought is I've got these 2 which are very different weight wise. This one is much heavier than this one, but what I was thinking of doing is actually spinning them in the opposite directions and then plying them together like this to get a intentional, purposeful barbel poling throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to try that out with these 2 Rolags to see how that looks, and to make sure that that's definitely what I want to do with the rest of it before I commit to that 100%, just in case I don't like the way that looks, and then I can think of something else that I want to do, and then that yarn will still be usable. I can use it as a little highlight or a little contrasty pop within the finished shawl or something. I'm not entirely sure yet what it's going to become, but that's my initial thought process at the moment. So I'm going to sit down, spin this up first, and see what that turns out to look like. Alright, so first little bit done. See if I can show you up here. So it has barbel poled, as I expected it would. The only thing is, I've realised, having done this, that all the blue and purple sections are going to overlap, and then all the sort of the more redder purple sections and the greens are going to overlap. So there'll be bits where there's high contrast where the red and greens overlap, and then bits where there's really low contrast in the barbel poling, because it'll be all the darker blues and the darker purples overlapping with each other. So I'm not going to go with that opposing ply option like this is, and because my 2 Rolags, that's the word, weren't the same weight, I ran out of 1 bobbin before the other, even though I tried to spin the heavier Rolag slightly thicker to sort of account for that a little bit. So I've ended up with a few strands at the end of the sort of more reddish colour and the pinky purple, fuchsia colour, 2-plied on itself, just to use up the end of that bobbin. And there might be enough there, depending on what I knit, that I could use that section just for a bind off or something. So there's not a huge amount of yardage. I think there's about 60 something meters, so not insignificant either. But yeah, so I'm definitely I intend on using this as well if I need the yardage in the final project, but I'm not going to spin the rest of the fibre in the same way, because I don't want to have sections of just bright green and red or like a fuchsia, and then sections of just like blue and purple that sort of blend together a lot more. I don't feel like it's going to look how I want it to look in the finished yarn. What I could have done, but I wanted to maintain like the color sequence that matched the yarn as well. What I could have done when I was making up the Rolags was to put start with the blues, then go to the purples and reds and end with the greens. That way then the red and greens would be overlapping with the blue and purples. I don't know. Anyway, I'm just going to spin them in the same direction, both bobbins and then ply them together. There'll be some overlapping where there's inconsistencies in the spinning, but it won't be as drastic as this. And who knows, I might start plying it and then decide actually no, maybe I'll just go ahead and chain ply it. We'll see. It's all an adventure, it's all an experiment, and yeah, so this was interesting and I'm glad I did it to see how it would look. I would have been a lot more disappointed at my decision to do this if I had gone ahead and just spun the whole thing and then started plying it and realized it wasn't going to look how I wanted it to. So I'm glad I did this little test skein to sort of like try out the idea. And that's the best thing, that's the great thing about spinning, is you can just do these little test bits to see how it's going to look. And I still have plenty of fibre. I've packaged it up, as you can see here, and I packaged them up in the pairs. So these Rolags, each pair is the same weight in grams as each other. So theoretically, if I can spin somewhat consistently between the two bobbins, there shouldn't be a huge amount of overlap between them. There will be some, because I mean I can't guarantee that this Rolag doesn't have more purple in it than this one, but overall it should work out all right. And then obviously these are the yarns. So I packaged this up for now. I'm not sure when I'm gonna start spinning those. I wanted to do this little test bit to see how it looks, and yeah, I think I'm gonna take a little break from that for now, and got a few other things I need to get on with, and I might come back to this later today, and it might be in a few days time, but we'll see. Anyway, so that's where I'm at the moment, and I will see you shortly. Alright, so now I'm ready to sit down and spin these. It is during Tour de Fleece while I'm spinning this, so it's been a while since I prepared these Rolags and since I did my little sample to figure out how I wanted to spin it. So this was the sample that I did, where I did the plies going in opposite colour order, and I realised that's not what I wanted. I don't mind it, but it's just not what I want overall for this finished yarn. So I'm going to spin one half end to end for one bobbin and the other half end to end for another bobbin, and then I will ply them together as a 2-ply, and we will see what we end up with. I don't mind there being some barber poling and stuff. I could have done a chain ply, but I already have the other mini skeins that are tonal and like single colours, so I don't mind there being some overlap and stuff, so I think that would be quite fun. But I wanted to give it as best a shot as possible to work out, which is why I waited out. And so yeah, we're going to get started on that today. go, it is all plied. There's a lot of fibre on here. There's probably around 120-ish grams. There's 140 grams total, but because I'd done another skein, a practice with it already, so there's a little bit less in here. But it's definitely over 100 grams on this bobbin, so there's not very often that I'm able to get over 100 grams of plied yarn onto one of these bobbins. So that's pretty fun. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this is turning out. And she's done. Plied, skeined up, and pre-washing it, this is over 400 yards. I think I got like 460 yards or something crazy. So this is definitely the most thinnest yarn I've been able to spin to date. It's 113 grams, but even when I calculate what it would be for just 100 grams, it still works out to be about 420-ish yards for 100 grams. So pretty chuffed with how this has turned out, and it's definitely, at the moment, it's quite a thin fingering weight for the most part, but I think it will puff up just a little bit with washing, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the finished yardage is. But it's a nice big skein, and it's still nice and soft as well. This one was a mix of, I think it was merino, silk, and I think there was some Shetland in this one as well, so a nice interesting blend.